There was a period in my life when I genuinely believed I was doing fine financially. I had a steady income. I owned property. I was contributing inconsistently to a retirement account. On paper, the picture looked decent enough. But every single month, money would disappear. Not in any single dramatic way. There was no catastrophic loss, no disastrous investment. It just evaporated. And when I sat down one evening and actually traced where it went, I felt something close to nausea. Not because of the big purchases. I could justify those. It was the small ones, the subscriptions I'd forgotten about, the takeout orders 4 nights a week because I was too tired to cook, the shoes I bought not because I needed them, but because a colleague had a similar pair and I didn't want to feel behind. I was overspending not from ignorance, but from habit. And the most dangerous part, none of it felt like a problem in the moment. If you are in your 40s or beyond, that quiet financial drain carries a weight that it simply didn't in your 30s. Retirement is no longer a theoretical concept on a distant horizon. Healthcare costs are rising faster than most salary increases. And the compounding velocity that could have worked in your favor is now a clock counting down, not up. By the end of this video, you will have a clear, actionable framework, 10 specific behavioral shifts that will help you permanently seal the financial leaks that have been quietly draining your wealth for years. Not through extreme deprivation, not through a budget so rigid it feels like a financial straitjacket, but through small, deliberate habits that work in the background of your life every single day. If you close this video early, you will miss the most important habit, the one that sits at the foundation of everything else. It is the one I wish someone had shown me a decade sooner. Before we go further, if anything I just described resonates with you, I want you to consider something. The people watching this video are not here by accident. They are here because they care about their future, about their families, and about leaving something meaningful behind. Subscribing to this channel is not just about financial tips. It is a commitment to your own fiscal longevity. It is a decision to take your financial life seriously during the years when it matters most. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments below. Have you ever reached the end of the month and had absolutely no idea where your money went, even when nothing major happened? Have you ever purchased something not because you wanted it, but because it felt like what someone in your position should have? And have you ever avoided checking your bank balance simply because you were afraid of what you'd find? Drop your answers below. You are not alone, and this conversation matters. We are living through an economic moment that is fundamentally different from anything the conventional personal finance playbook was designed to address. In 2026, inflation has reshaped the cost of ordinary life in ways that compound quietly over time. Grocery bills that felt manageable 2 years ago now stretch household budgets in ways that weren't anticipated. Interest rates have remained elevated long enough to change the calculus on everything from mortgage refinancing to credit card balances. And the job market, while functional, has shifted beneath the feet of professionals who assumed their income trajectory would simply continue upward. For the 40-plus demographic specifically, the stakes of financial mismanagement are measurably higher now than they were for previous generations at the same age. Social Security projections have grown increasingly uncertain. Defined benefit pension plans, the kind that promised a guaranteed income in retirement, have largely disappeared from the private sector. The responsibility of generating retirement income has shifted almost entirely onto the individual, and yet most of the financial advice circulating online was built for a 25-year-old with 5 decades of compounding ahead of them. The strategies that worked then, aggressive risk-taking, maximum contribution to growth assets, ignoring short-term volatility, require significant recalibration for someone who is 42 or 51 or 58. What does not require recalibration is the foundational principle that your spending behavior is the single variable most within your control. Markets fluctuate. Inflation moves unpredictably. Tax policy changes. But every morning, you decide how you interact with money. And those daily micro decisions made across months and years determine your financial outcome far more than any investment strategy. I used to dismiss that idea. I thought the real solution was finding a better investment vehicle, a higher yield, a smarter portfolio allocation. And while those things matter, they are almost irrelevant if there is a slow, steady leak in the hull of your financial ship. These 10 habits are the leak detection system I wish I had found years earlier. And for anyone over 40 who feels like they are working hard but not moving forward, what follows is not theory. It is the architecture of a different financial life, one built not on sacrifice but on intention. Habit 1. Shopping without a plan always costs more. I used to walk into a grocery store or open Amazon at 10 p.m. without any specific intention, just browsing, just seeing what was there. And without fail, I would spend 30 to 40% more than I needed to. The research on this is consistent. Unplanned shopping consistently inflates spending. But the personal experience of it is even more telling. I once tracked a single month of casual online browsing purchases. Things I added to the cart because they were on sale or because the algorithm surfaced them at the right moment. The total across that 1 month was just over $400. None of it was essential. Not a single item changed my life. Every dollar you spend should have a purpose before it leaves your account. A written list, or a digital one you actually check, is not about restriction. It is about intentionality. The plan is not the enemy of pleasure. Impulse spending is the enemy of security. Habit 2. Emotional spending is expensive therapy. I had a period professionally that was genuinely difficult. A restructuring at work, some uncertainty about my role, and the kind of low-grade anxiety that follows you to bed at night. During that period, I bought things. Nothing dramatic. A new jacket, some kitchen gadgets. A course I never started. Small purchases that felt, in the moment, like a form of control. Emotional spending is the financial equivalent of eating when you are not hungry. It addresses a real feeling with the wrong tool, and the consequences linger long after the feeling has passed. The shift that changed this for me was naming the emotion before I opened my wallet, not suppressing it, naming it. I am stressed. I am bored. I feel overlooked. Once you name it, you can address it directly. A walk, a conversation, even just 20 minutes of deliberate rest. The urge to spend typically dissolves when the underlying emotion is actually acknowledged. Habit 3. Small daily purchases add up faster than you think. I was spending just under $7 a day on what I privately called incidentals. A coffee, a convenience store snack during a long drive, a delivery fee that I rationalized because I was busy. $7 a day is $2,555 per year, over 10 years, and adjusted conservatively for even modest investment returns. That figure becomes something closer to $35,000. That is not a rounding error. That is a significant inflationary hedge. That is a meaningful addition to retirement capital. The habit that corrected this was not eliminating every small pleasure. It was tracking them for 30 days without judgment, simply writing down or logging in an app every purchase under $20. The visibility alone changed my behavior. You cannot manage what you refuse to measure. Habit 4. Automatic renewals can drain wealth. The subscription economy was engineered for exactly one thing: to make cancellation feel more effortful than continuation. I discovered, during a single audit of my bank statements, that I was paying for 4 streaming services, 2 of which I had not actively used in over 6 months, a gym membership for a location I had relocated away from, a software tool that was genuinely useful for about 3 weeks after I purchased the annual plan. The combined total was $340 per month. Recurring, invisible, automatic. Set a calendar reminder every 90 days to audit your subscriptions with zero emotional attachment. The standard for keeping a subscription is simple. Have you used it meaningfully in the last 30 days? If the answer is no, the answer is cancel. Habit 5. Delaying purchase decisions reduces impulse buying. I introduced a personal rule that changed my relationship with spending in ways that still surprise me. For any non-essential purchase over $50, I wait 48 hours. For anything over $200, I wait a full week. The number of purchases I have not made because of this rule is staggering, not because I talked myself out of them, but because the desire simply evaporated. The urgency that felt genuine in the moment was almost always manufactured. A sale deadline, a low stock warning, a recommendation that caught me in a receptive moment. Time is one of the most powerful financial tools available to anyone over 40. Patience is not a personality trait. It is a skill, and it pays dividends. We are halfway through, and I want to pause here for a moment. We just covered impulse buying, emotional spending, and the quiet drain of subscriptions and small daily purchases. And I want to ask you something specific. Have you ever looked at your bank statement at the end of the month and genuinely felt surprised by what you saw? Not shocked by one large expense, but by the accumulation of things you barely remember purchasing? If that is you, pause the video right now and type yes in the comments. Because that moment of surprise, that small, uncomfortable gap between what you thought you spent and what you actually spent, is one of the most common financial experiences for adults in their 40s. And it is also one of the most correctable. We have 5 more habits to cover, and the last one is the one that ties everything together. Habit 6. Comparing yourself to others is financially dangerous. I drove a car that was functionally fine for years. Then a neighbor upgraded to something newer, more visible, more expensive. Within 6 months, I had rationalized a vehicle upgrade I had not planned for and genuinely did not need. The payment added $520 per month to my fixed expenses for 4 years. Social comparison is a deeply human instinct, but in the digital era, it has been supercharged by platforms that present curated highlights as ordinary life. Someone else's vacation is not your benchmark. Their home renovation is not your obligation. Their wardrobe is not your standard. Build your financial life around your goals, your values, and your actual circumstances. That is not settling. That is fiscal discipline at its most sophisticated. Habit 7. Convenience often comes with a high price tag. I calculated once what I was paying for food delivery in a single year, the delivery fees, the service charges, the tips, and the markup on the food itself compared to cooking. The number was just under $4,200. For convenience, for the luxury of not having to stand in my own kitchen for 25 minutes. This is not about eliminating all convenience spending. It is about applying a cost-benefit analysis with honesty when convenience is worth the premium, when your time is genuinely more valuable than the cost difference. Pay for it consciously, but the default acceptance of convenience pricing across dozens of small decisions is one of the quieter ways wealth disappears. Habit 8. Ignoring spending habits guarantees overspending. For a long time, I avoided my bank statements the way some people avoid medical checkups. If I did not look, I could not be confronted with evidence of what I already suspected. That avoidance was not passive. It was active financial self-sabotage. Weekly financial review, 15 minutes every Sunday evening became the single most impactful non-investment habit I developed. Not to judge myself, not to obsess, simply to stay informed. Financial awareness is not anxiety. It is the foundation of control. Habit 9. Shopping as entertainment encourages unnecessary purchases. Browsing used to be my default boredom response. Malls, Amazon, scrolling through product categories with no intention to buy, except that I always bought something. The shopping environment, physical or digital, is designed to convert browsing into purchasing. Every element of it is engineered for that outcome. The replacement habit is finding recreation that does not require a credit card. Walking, reading, cooking something new, reconnecting with a skill or a relationship. These are not consolation prizes for people who cannot afford to shop. They are the choices of someone who has decided that experiences, not acquisitions, define a meaningful life. Habit 10. Failing to automate saving means spending what's left. This was the most structurally significant change I made. For years, I saved whatever remained at the end of the month, which was reliably very little because spending expanded, as it always does, to fill the available space. The reversal was simple and transformative. Automate savings and investment contributions on the day income arrives. Before discretionary spending begins, before any bill beyond true essentials is paid, the amount available for everything else becomes fixed. And, remarkably, life adjusts to that number. Wealthy individuals rarely have more discipline than average. They simply design their financial architecture so that the right behaviors happen automatically before choice enters the equation. Here is the thing I did not understand for most of my adult financial life. Overspending is almost never a resource problem. It is an identity problem. I was spending at the core of it to communicate something to myself and to others, that I was successful, that I was keeping pace, that I had arrived at a certain level and was maintaining it. Every unnecessary purchase was a small, expensive broadcast of who I wanted people to think I was. The transformation did not come from a budgeting app. It did not come from tracking software or a strict spending category system. It came from a fundamental shift in what I was trying to prove and to whom. When I stopped buying for performance and started spending for function, peace followed. Real, sustainable peace. Not the temporary satisfaction of a new purchase that fades within 72 hours, but the deep, steady confidence of knowing that every dollar in my account is working towards something that actually matters. The 10 habits in this video are not restrictions. They are expressions of clarity. They are what happens when you know who you are financially, what you are building toward, and why the noise of comparison and convenience and impulse no longer has the power to redirect your trajectory. Every dollar you redirect from unconscious spending toward intentional saving is not just money preserved. It is future security created. It is options purchased. It is freedom compounding quietly in the background of your life. That is the shift, and it is available to anyone willing to make it. We covered 10 habits today, not 10 deprivations. 10 decisions that permanently change how money moves through your life, from shopping with intention, to recognizing emotional triggers, to automating savings before spending begins. Each of these is a small behavioral shift that, practiced consistently, compounds into lasting financial transformation. Thank you for investing this time in your financial future. That decision, choosing education over entertainment for the last 15 minutes, is itself evidence that you are already thinking differently about money. If this video gave you one insight that you know someone else needs to hear, share it with them. The people we care about most are often the ones who would benefit most from this conversation. Subscribe for the long-term journey. This channel is built for those who are serious about building lasting wealth, not chasing short-term wins. And for your next watch, why your retirement number is wrong, and how to recalculate it before it's too late. It builds directly on everything we covered today. Your financial future does not begin with a windfall. It begins with a habit.